So hi, I'm Trina. I'm the art director for the game Soup Pot, and it's a cooking game where um, it's set in a kitchen.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is set in a kitchen. Can you talk a little about Supod? This is like almost a cooking simulator. It is a cooking simulator in a way. Talk a little bit about the game and what you can cook in it.
so right now it's based in the Philippines. So all our recipes for the base game are gonna be Filipino food. So you're gonna see a lot of familiar stuff like lumpia. I think a lot of people like lumpia, which is basically spring rolls, fried spring rolls. And then one of the more not so orthodox recipes like Betamax, which is grilled grilled chicken blood on a stick. So it's gonna be a mix of both really popular cuisine and cuisine that's more popular locally and not internationally. It's more of an acquired taste. Like for example, balut. If you know balut, it's it's duck egg and then there's an actual duck inside. So yeah, not a lot of people like that, but it's really popular here in the Philippines.
Now, like as an art director, you have to put things in real life into the game. Is that harder or easier when compared to like making things up like a fantasy character or like a fantasy weapon or something like that?
Yeah, for me, definitely yes, because it's based in real life, so people have already seen that ingredient in real life. There's always this fear of criticism that someone's gonna say, "Oh no, this tool, this wok doesn't look like the wok that I have at home," or that's not how pork looks like. So for me, it's really hard to make assets for the game because it needs to go through a lot of research, and also because I'm not really a trained chef, so I don't really see these things on a daily basis, and that's what makes it, I think, a lot more difficult than fantasy weapons.
There are already so many items and ingredients in your game. Do you have to make multiple versions of the same ingredient, or is it once you make one thing, you're good and you move on to the next thing?
No, no, you have to make multiple things of the same. You have to make multiple assets because it's really hard to think about because at first, if you think cooking game, you're just gonna go like, oh, that's easy. You can just make ingredients like potatoes and stuff, and then just do whatever. But it's actually a lot harder than that. You have to think about how the player will cook. So, for example, for potatoes, you have to make a whole potato, and then there's also sweet potatoes, and there's also like the possibility that the player won't do what you want as a developer. So, for example, they're they're gonna fry the potatoes first, and then they're gonna boil it, and then they're gonna grill it. So you really have to think about those things when you're trying to make an asset for the game. So you have to make multiple textures and also multiple models because um, it, ingredients are really flexible in the kitchen. Like for potatoes, it's not just this one object. You have to also think that, oh, this one potato can also be mashed. It can also be made into fries, or it can also be used in stews. So you really have to think about all those possibilities, and it's really difficult to make them all into simple assets.
Do you have like a number of how many cooking ingredients you have? Because one of the things about your game specifically is that it has a ton of different ingredients and foods you can work with. Do you have like a number on how many things you've had to implement and create for the game?
Right now, the list is still growing because it turns out that uh, there's a lot. There's a lot of ingredients since we're making assets for the Filipino kitchen and also for the DLCs, which is the Japanese kitchen and the Korean kitchen. So right now we have 500 500 ingredients for the Filipino kitchen.
Wow. And then look, talk a little about, do you think this game's going to help people like in the Western areas, like in America, um, look at specifically Filipino cuisine and like look at it and like maybe learn about it for the first time and how to cook it and what it involves and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. We really hired chefs for this actually because um, we're not professionals. We're not professionals in the kitchen, and we need the pros to do the recipes for us. So yeah, they're definitely, I think, gonna learn a lot of things um, uh, from this game, and also because we learned that Filipino cooking and actually Asian cooking in general, they use a lot of the discarded parts of a discarded meat. For example, I think Westerners don't usually use offals, like for example the beef tongue, something like that. So I think it's gonna be a really unique experience for everyone to be able to use offals like the beef tongue, the pork blood, um, maybe chicken feet. So they're really gonna be exposed to that part of Asian culture.
So can this game make someone a better chef in the long run?
Hmm. I guess they have to find out by wishlisting the game and playing it.
Do you have a favorite recipe in the game or even in real life that you just really enjoy cooking that you just like to eat all the time?
Hmm. There's a lot, but if I have to pick one that I really enjoyed making for the game, it's crispy pata, which is pork leg that's fried, deep fried. So, and I think a lot of people like this also because it's just really tender pork with a really crunchy skin. So that's something to look forward to when the game comes out.
Can you talk about how, like you mentioned, some of the recipes that aren't as popular in the Western hemisphere as they are in the Philippines, but what other recipes can you talk about in the game that were pretty fun to create assets for or figure out ways, like you said, boil potatoes and grill potatoes and fry potatoes, to kind of create the meals in a different, unique way for the player?
Oh, there's a lot actually that we did that's pretty unique. Right now, we have which one would I say is one of the unique ones? Well, spring roll, the lumpia, is actually one of the more popular ones, and I think it's pretty unique because you have to roll the wrapper, and then you have to put meat filling inside, and then you have to fry it. And also we have bread. We have bread in the game, so players can knead the dough. They can punch the dough. They can do a lot of things with the dough, and then they can bake it inside the oven, and then it'll come out like cute bread.
Is there anything, can you take us to a conversation in like your meeting room when you're talking about, because obviously there's so many different recipes and so many different ingredients, and I'm sure some people cook things slightly differently than you do, and how you implement that into the gameplay itself?
Okay, so Gwen and we started this prototype last year. It's called Putahe ng Ina Mo, which basically translates to your mom's dish. And in that prototype, it's really simple. You just add ingredients inside the pot and then wait for it to cook. But the thing is, since there's a lot of ways to cook that recipe, a lot of the players were kind of annoyed that we didn't put some of the ingredients that they knew in the game. So right now, we're planning to make a part of the game kind of like um how do I say this? We want the players to have more freedom when it comes to making the dishes. So they can add, for example, for sinigang, the soup putahe ng ina mo started from, that's gonna be modified in such a way that people can use ingredients that they like to use. Like, for example, instead of beef, maybe they'd want shrimp, or maybe they'd want chicken, something like that.
Is it difficult trying to convey to Westerners that even though the game is called Soup Pot, you can make more than just soup?
So far, I don't think anyone's ever really complained about the title yet. So I'm assuming they know that a soup pot is more than cooking things inside a pot.
You know, this game would cater really well to VR. Did VR come up in any of your pre-development conversations or in your development stage of the game?
Yeah, definitely. People were asking about they were looking forward to seeing the game in VR, and so we're talking about it uh with the team, and I think it's definitely in our plans in the future to develop it for VR.
How hungry are you going to get if you play this game during the day? Because I was hungry just looking at the gameplay trailers.
You should probably eat first before you play the game, because I think everyone who's working on the game at some point got hungry while making it, because we had to look at real food references at around 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning, and yeah, it was just suffering. So please eat before playing the game.
And then last thing, Trina, is when does the game come out and what platforms will it be on?
Oh, the game will come out on August 31st on Steam and also Xbox. So you guys can check it out.